Good morning, greetings everyone. So this video recording session is on chapter 7, the external audit. Yeah. So now external audit is about examining the tools and concepts. It's about the tools and concepts needed to conduct an external strategic management audit. Um, Sometimes this is called environmental scanning or industry analysis. So the purpose of this external audit is to develop a list, okay, a list of opportunities that could benefit the firm and also to avoid threats. So that's the purpose of this external audit. Now, this is just to recap, where we are at this point of time. We are right here, the external audit, chapter 7. Okay. Now, moving on, slide number 3. This is the learning objectives of chapter 7. There are 6. Like I've mentioned always mentioned in the previous discussion, right? These are the learning objectives, and what you can do here is to pay attention to each and every one of this. Okay, as you read your text, okay, try to find out the answers or possible discussions related to each and every one of these objectives. The first objective here is to discuss the purpose of the external auditing in strategy formulation. Second is the discussion on the strategic forces that affect the organization. The third one is looking into Porter's 5 forces model and how is it relevant to strategy formulation. The fourth one is to discuss the functional audit checklist. Fifth one, to discuss and explain how to develop the EFE or external evaluation matrix. And the last discussion is on the developing of a comparative profile matrix or a CPM. So these are the 5 learning objectives of this chapter. Now, in discussing the first objective, which is the purpose of external auditing in strategy formulation. Now, to identify trends and events which are beyond the control of a firm or organization. So this is the purpose of an external auditing in strategy formulation. Yeah. So an external audit, it focuses on identifying and evaluating trends and events which are beyond the control of a firm. Example of this could be increased foreign competition, population shifts, migration of people here and there, an aging population or society. Okay, these are trends or events. Consumer fear of traveling, which we all can relate to, yeah. Stock market volatility and so forth. Okay, when firms are able to identify and evaluate these trends, okay, this via external auditing, it would be easier for the firms to scout for opportunities or look for opportunities, as well as to see threats, okay, that may be affecting the firm itself. Okay, when the key opportunities and threats confronting the organization are revealed to the owners of the organization or firms or simply managers, right? They managers would be able to formulate strategies to take advantage of these opportunities and of course to avoid threats or reduce the impact of threats. So in other words, external auditing really aims at identifying key variables that offer actionable responses. Yeah, a guide for the organization to act offensively or defensively to the surrounding threats, or yeah, that includes the competitors. Okay, so this is the purpose of external auditing in strategy formulation. Now moving on to the next slide. Okay, this is the external forces that affect the organization. Yeah. So the question here is to ask is what are the factors that affect the organization? Again, what are the factors that affect the organization? So to find out the possible answers to these questions, to this question, a firm needs to perform an external audit. Yeah. So in here, what happens is a company first and foremost they would gather comparative intelligence and information about all these here. There are 10 in here, right? All these are forces that's affecting the organization. Okay, so company would gather comparative intelligence and information about these factors. Now, the mention of comparative intelligence. Comparative intelligence is about the process of collecting, analyzing, and using the information that was collected about the competitors or clients. Yeah, and the purpose of this is to improve competitive advantage. It helps to understand the competitive environment, the challenges, the opportunities, yeah, and use the data properly to develop effective strategies. All right. Okay. So now, actually, what happens in this process of doing competitive intelligence, and the gathering information, how this is done is individuals in the organization, whoever is responsible, yeah, may be asked to monitor various sources of information, such as key media sources, looking for information about the competitors, either via magazines, trade journals, or newspaper even. The internet, yeah, can be used as well. This is the in thing in this era, so simply used for gathering strategic information, information from suppliers, distributors, salespersons, customers, competitors, yeah, and all these are part of the process. Okay, part of the process to seek information. Okay, now let me just go over three of these external forces. Okay, there are 10. Of course, you need to look into each and every one of this, but let me just go pull out 3 out of 10 to just give um, an explanation. All right, the first one, economic. This is a significant factor. Okay, no matter what country or no matter where we are, when a country's economy is in recession, like the current situation whereby the world over, yeah, is affected by first the pandemic, and then political uncertainties in some countries, and some countries there's war happening, yeah. um, Now all these factors affect the employment. Okay, the unemployment rate could be a lot higher, right? So what happens in this instance is that companies have to work a lot harder, yeah, in order to retain or to maintain their workforce and make changes in order to maintain their revenue stream. Okay, it has to be done. Otherwise, what happens is that we will see closure of companies, and unemployment rate a lot higher, and other problems or issue related to this. Okay, so this is basically economic. The second one is social. Now, social forces are equally significant. Social forces could include various social issues, events, or movements. Yeah, if you can imagine how the MCO or the Movement Control Order has tremendously affected our movement, the business environment, business operations. Even how we purchase things have been affected as well. So it's our lifestyle, yeah. Our social status and personal choices have greatly influenced our purchase decision in terms of what, where, and how we spend things. Yeah. So this is basically about social one example of social forces. And let me just jump right to technological factors. Now, with technological development making significant changes in every industry, in our lives even, yeah, can you imagine if companies do not adopt to technology to gain competitive advantage in their market? Can you imagine if we are not, we do not adapt to technology in order to move forward? Yeah. And just imagine the past 2 years of pandemic, how every country tried to save the economy, reverted to not reverted, uh, chose um, not that there was much option, but the use of online platform to reach the masses and so forth. Yeah. So I leave this to you to further analyze and reflect on the impact of this particular force. Yeah. Okay, now, so the rest of these factors, yeah, cultural, demographic, environment, political, government, and legal, comparative. Okay, these factors are all the details of these factors are all in the main text. Okay, you can find these, you can read them. Okay, if you do have additional information other than just a textbook, that's totally fine. You can use them as long as it makes you understand. All right, but the point here is you need to at least try to understand each and every one of these external factors and how it affects the organization. Okay, now moving on to the next slide, which is the relationship between key external forces and an organization. So these particular slides here shows how an organization is affected by the external forces. Yeah. So we have discussed what the external forces are in the previous slide. This particular slide is helpful to guide you in understanding how each of the forces, okay, here, right here, economic forces, how all these forces could affect um, the organization, okay, the elements as well, such as competitors, suppliers, creditors, customers, employees, and so forth. Yeah, how all these elements could affect the organization, right? Okay, now quickly moving on to the next slide. Performing an external audit. Now, in here, this basically explains the process of performing an audit or external audit. Okay, the process of performing an external audit must involve all managers and employees, as many as possible. As we have emphasized in earlier chapters, involvement in the strategic management process can lead to understanding and commitment from every organizational member. This is very important. So, to perform an external audit, a company must first gather comparative intelligence. We have just talked about it, comparative intelligence and information about the external forces. Yeah. Now, what is done here is the purpose of this is to assimilate, to evaluate information, the key external forces that affect the organization. Yeah. Okay. Now, the next slide is on the explanation of Porter's five forces model and its relevance to strategy formulation. Okay, there are two things that you need to basically be able to discuss in here. First one is what is Porter's five forces model, Okay, second one is what are the benefits of what benefits does this Porter's five forces model provide? Yeah. So the first one, what is this model? So basically, this is a theory. Okay, this is a theory based on the concept that there are five forces that determine the competitive intensity and attractiveness of a market. It helps an organization to understand the nature of competition. Yeah, how this competition affects the organization and the environment in which it operates. Okay, so this is what Porter's model is about. Now, the benefits of this analysis. Well, this this analysis helps to identify where power lies in a business situation. Okay, this is useful both in understanding the strength of an organization's current competitive position and the strength of the position that an organization may look into, okay, future, right? In other words, it helps to understand whether new products or services are potentially profitable. Okay, so it's so much related to decision making, whether to move into a new market or not, to diversify or not, to launch a new product or services. Okay, are these profitable and whatnot, right? By understanding where the power lies within the organization, the strength, it means the strength, yeah, power, strength. This theory can also be used to identify, the weaknesses. Okay, it's good that the company, of course, know the weaknesses as well. This would be used to avoid mistakes. So at least it can be used to avoid mistakes in the future. All right. So this is what this Porter's five forces model is about. Now, the next slide is on the. I'm gonna skip this, but basically this is about industry structure. Okay, so I'll skip this one and move right to the Porter's five process model. Again, I don't think I'm gonna go into each and every one of this. Okay, this can be you can do this by reading the text. Okay, it gives in the textbook these five forces model explained. Each and every one of these explained in depth. All right. So what you need is to understand what are these actually. Okay. For example, bargaining power of suppliers, right? Just let me just give an example. What is bargaining power of suppliers? So basically, it's an assessment of how easy it is for suppliers to drive up prices. Yeah, the bargaining power of suppliers. Okay, suppliers have the power to drive up prices or not. All right. So know what it is. What is the function of each and every one of this? Now, slide 7. Slide number 11. Now, Porter's five forces model, right? This model can reveal whether competition in a given industry an organization undertakes can make an acceptable profit or not. Okay, I've actually mentioned this. So what's done in here is to identify the key elements that impact the firm. All right. I think I have actually pretty much mentioned this earlier on, but just to re-emphasize. Okay. Porter's five forces model, what we do in here is to identify key elements that impact the firm, evaluate how strong and important each element is for the firm, and decide whether the element is worth the decision for the firm to enter or stay in the industry or just to do away with it altogether. Okay, like I mentioned, yeah, you would go over each and every one of these elements of Porter's five forces model. Know what these are. Okay, in these slides, actually there are key points in your you can use in your reading. Potential entry to competitors. So see, these are the key points for you to go through and try to understand. So I'm gonna skip these, yeah, and go straight to slide number 22. From slide 12 to 21 are the explanation of the elements of the five forces of Porter's. All right, so we'll skip this and go straight to 22, which is the industry analysis. Okay, industry analysis, the external factor evaluation, EFE matrix. All right, now let me just briefly talk about this. What is this actually? Now, EFE, or External Factor Evaluation Matrix, or sometimes it's also referred to external analysis or the environmental analysis, is the same. It is the it is the process by which businesses objectively, yeah, assess the changes made to their industry, okay, in which they operate in, and its environment, which could affect the current business operation. All right, so it's an analysis. Companies do this to ensure that they can adapt to changes and continue to be competitive and successful within the industry they operate in. Okay, now in in other words, right, this analysis can help businesses streamline their current product, whether it fits the needs of the customers much better, or something has to be done. Yeah. So regardless of whether whether it's a business owner or financial professional, conducting an external analysis can help guide the company to success. So that said, it is crucially important to understand the benefits and necessary components of this external review. Again, they need to go back to understanding, summarizing, and evaluating the external forces we talked about earlier. I think it's in slide 5, yeah, um, which are the economic, social, cultural, demographic, environmental, political, and so forth. Yeah. So these are the right here actually. So the need to go back and understand each and every one of this. So what I'm suggesting in here is that as you read your chapter 7, okay, pay attention to how you define or how you understand what economic is, what social is, culture, demographic, and so forth. Yeah, make sure to go read each and every one of this and try to understand. The next slide, slide 23, are the steps to follow to come up or how to develop the EFE matrix. Okay, so we know what this matrix is, and the next thing to know is how to develop this. So this is a step-by-step guide to come up with a matrix. There are 5 in here. This is useful when you do your matrix later on. Okay, you'll be having this in your assignment, next assignment. So this is very useful. So for this one, right? um, I would like to direct you to materials uploaded to Smart 3. Okay, under chapter 7. There are many materials we uploaded there. All those materials are related to chapter 7, and I would like for you to go over them. These are materials that could help you understand this EFE much better. Okay. Again, other materials that you'd like to use to make you understand any processes. For example, this EFE matrix, you can use them as long as it enhances your understanding of this topic much better. So go ahead and do that, right? Um, Let me just move over to slide number 24. So this is what EFE matrix look like after completion. Okay, after completion. So you'd have all these elements, key external factors, weight, rating, weighted score, and so forth. All right. So maybe at this point of time, it's kind of difficult for you to imagine what it is. But as you do your, as you read and read further on the elements and what, do it practically later on, you'll be able to understand. All right. Now, okay. So, okay, now this is the example of an EFE matrix. Okay, at the end of the of this is how it looks like, and the next slide is on the comparative profile matrix or CPM. Okay, so CPM, this is what it looks like. All right. Now, basically, CPM is a strategic analysis as well. It allows a firm to compare its organization to competitors. Okay, in such a way that it reveals the strength and weaknesses, right? Now, again, this is what it looks like. Just to mention as a guide, all right, pay attention to the ones highlighted in yellow, CSF or critical success factors. Okay, this is actually what affect critical success factors are what affects the firm, and this is done. Okay, this is done via environmental scaling. Okay, remember we talked about environmental scaling early on, economic, culture, and whatnot, technology. Yeah, so these are this is what it translates. It translates into critical success factors. The scaling of the environment translates into critical success factors, and these are the factors that affect the organization, right? So in here, weight and rating are given based. These are given based on collective understanding of the whole scenario of the organization, scenario of factors that affect the organization, and based on these, right? These are given, right? Weight and ratings. So in other words, the managers would provide these ratings. Okay, so you would be able to I think you'd be able to understand much better if you go through the videos or the readings that we have provided on Smart 3. Yeah. So again, I stress the importance of going over the materials uploaded to Smart 3 to help you understand much better. And again, again, if you have other materials to help you understand, go ahead and do that. All right. Okay, now this I think is the last this is the last slide. All right. Now to wrap up this discussion on chapter 7. Um, Again, this is the external audit. Okay, number one, make sure you know what basically is external audit, and the key discussion that's in this chapter. You know, we can use this slide as a guide, and very important, everyone. Go over the materials that we have uploaded on Smart to Smart 3. Okay, there is an further explanation on regarding this topic, EFE, how we come up with that. You know, there's a video that we have made just to guide you how to develop this particular matrix, right? So with that, thank you everyone, and have a nice day.